everyone, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant with a interactive shaker card featuring the new Mama Elephant Little Fairy Agenda, adorable little fairies, and the new jar shaker dies. And I've paired these with a sentiment from a previously released stamp set, the Oh Happy Day stamp set, so there's two little phrases from there, and some Grassy trio dies. We're going to start with a piece of fun foam here that I'm applying stick-it adhesive to both sides of this. And a lot of times when I do a shaker, I will remove one of these and replace it with cardstock. We don't want to do that for this shaker because it's a see-through shaker. So this is just stick-it adhesive on both sides of fun foam. We're going to take the jar shaker, both the outline and the inner line, and I haven't cut them apart yet, but you can easily tape those back together after you have, and die cut our frame. So this is going to be the dimensional frame that creates the shaker well. Then I'm going to cut apart my jar shaker, and I'm going to die cut the outer frame, the larger of the two. Oh, pardon me. I did die cut then the front of the frame from a light gray cardstock. This is the Hero Arts Pebble cardstock. And I am going to then cut my jar apart, and from the outer frame, I'm going to die cut 2 layers of acetate. This is the Hero Arts acetate. So it's going to be a layer of acetate, the fun foam frame, another layer of acetate, and then the front of the shaker, so another frame. 4 layers to create our little shaker here. And what I want it to look like is this jar sitting in the grass, the lid's off to the side. The lid was die cut from some Tonic frosted silver cardstock. And I want it to look like an open jar filled with all of these pretty little seed beads and iridescent sequins, silver stars and things spilling out into the sky, and the fairies kind of coming up and out of the jar. That was kind of my thought behind building this. On a piece of smooth white cardstock, I am blending out and stenciling this mini Clouds Edges stencil. I started with Blueprint Sketch Distress ink and ended with Shaded Lilac. If you guys have followed me, you know this is one of my favorite color combinations. I love it for kind of a non-traditional, it almost looks like a rainy day sky a little bit. I love these colors together. I spritzed it with water from a distress sprayer, blotted that dry. We can set it aside. And then from another piece of smooth white cardstock, I used the Grassy Trio dies, 2 of them. There's a trio of them, but I used just 2 of them today. And we're going to create 2 borders that we can use along the bottom edge of the card. When I am tucking an element into grass, I love to have at least 2 borders. And that's because I think it gives a more realistic look. Especially for this card, if you tuck the jar just behind that first layer of grass, you're going to see the sky behind it, which is great. That's why I created both the front and the back from acetate, but I think it doesn't look like it's sitting in the grass, if that makes sense. Now I am applying some MOWED Lawn Distress ink to these die cut borders. And once I have that, I can put the higher of the 2 borders, glue that or adhere that directly to our cloud background. And I want to make sure and keep my work surface nice and clean. I don't want that ink migrating to other elements on my card. So let's go ahead and build that background. We're going to glue the wider of the 2 grassy borders to our background, directly to the background. We are going to remove the backing paper from one side of our fun foam frame, place the acetate on the back, fill that shaker well. I filled it with some lilac seed beads, silver mini star confetti, and then some lavender moon sequins. These are all Pretty Pink Posh products, all in shades of purple. I picked those colors on purpose to match my sky and then what I'm going to color my fairies with. And then I'm going to just peel up an edge of the border, lay down that acetate piece for the front, and gently pull away the backing paper. This was a little tricky. You can see it's not necessarily super perfect there on one side. I didn't get it on, but I'm going to be covering that up with cardstock, so I'm going to trim that away with scissors. I'll clean that up a little bit better here in a second because I am going to glue the frame on the front of this to hide the foam adhesive. So let's just trim that up a little bit better. Cute little see-through shaker. See-through shakers are really fun. Love this technique. When I was contemplating adhesive to glue my frame on, I decided to use score tape. I did not want to use a liquid adhesive. I did not want anything messy that would leak out from underneath. I didn't want anything that would take a while to dry. 1/8 inch score tape is my favorite thing, so that's what I used here. And I went all the way around, peel off all those little backing pieces. And then we will just pop that frame right in place. And there is our shaker. How cute is that? If you wanted to put a gray or whatever color solid cardstock on both sides, you could almost make these into tags or something. I think that would be fun if you would tie it onto a package. There's just lots and lots you could do with these little jars. I think it would be really fun. So I am going to now wrap a little thin crochet thread is what this is. It's from Hobby Lobby. I've had it forever. I have it in tons of colors, but a little thin thread, ribbon, string. If you've got a silk ribbon, those tie into a nice little small knot too, something like that. Twine would work. I'm going to wrap that around my jar and just tie it into a little bow and leave some hanging ends. That's just to decorate the top of the jar a little bit because we're not going to add the lid to this jar. The lid is actually tucked into the grass, or going to be tucked into the grass along that bottom edge, so it looks like the lid is off the jar and the fairies have come free. Just like I did when I put the frame on, I put score tape or 1/8 inch tape all the way around the edges. Peeled that off the back. Especially when working with acetate, liquid adhesive can be really messy, so I recommend a thin tape adhesive, glue dots, something that's not liquid for this. And then I'm going to put some foam adhesive along the bottom edge to pop up our front grass border so that it lays flush with the design of the card, so it hides that bottom edge and that it's not wonky there along the bottom edge of our card design. I'm going to tuck that lid into the grass as well. We'll put a little foam adhesive under that one edge that's sticking up. So again, another element is laying nice and flush with all the things on the front of the card. And there is our background. Next, we're going to work on our sentiment for our jar. And we will finally finish with those adorable little fairy agenda girls. So much fun. I love the new additions to the little agenda collection from Mama Elephant. The label is also from the Jar Shaker dies. I've die cut this from vellum, and I'm going to use the happy birthday and the wishing you the best day ever sentiments from the Mama Elephant Oh Happy Day sentiment stamp set on my label. I simply went through my Mama Elephant stamps and found sentiments to create a birthday card in my greeting file there of Mama Elephant stamps that would work on this label because I knew I wanted to put my sentiments on the label. Another option, if you wanted to use bigger sentiments or you want to have something along the bottom edge of the card, that grassy border along the bottom edge would also be a great place for a little sentiment. I'm stamping those phrases then with a clear embossing ink. We'll sprinkle on white embossing powder and then of course heat set that. Now the trick with vellum is getting it to adhere, and in this case we're adhering it to another clear product, acetate. And so my favorite way to adhere the vellum to the front of our little acetate shaker jar is by running this whole little label through a Xyron sticker maker. It's going to put an even layer of adhesive over the back of this vellum piece, making it stick to the jar beautifully. You're still going to be able to see through it, which was the whole reason behind using a vellum label. I still wanted it to show through, or the shaker elements to show through the label to the front of the card. And so I'm just going to peel that off then and stick it right onto our little jar. A really great way to showcase the fun of the label here. Another idea, if you've got some little tags, and Mama Elephant has some incredible little tag die cuts, you could also stamp some tags and tie them from the string there at the top of the jar. I think that would be really fun as well, and that could be where your sentiment is. I stamped 5 of the little agenda fairies on some Bristol Smooth cardstock using VersaFine ONYX black ink. This is my favorite ink for Zig Clean Color Real Brush Marker coloring. And then I'm going to grab some of my favorite shades of blues and purples and start coloring in my fairies. I left the coloring in. I have listed the colors I'm using across the screen. Usually down in that bottom right corner is where I am listing them for this part, or for this step of the project. But that way, if at any time you're wondering exactly which colors of the markers I'm using, you can find that here. One of the reasons I love using Zigs for little agenda images is that they're super small, as the name suggests, and it's really quick and easy coloring. I'm only using about 2 shades per color to keep the coloring and the shading to a minimum. You don't need a ton more than that, no matter what color medium you're using, really, simply because the images are super teeny tiny. For this, it works really great though. I love how it kind of appears that these little fairies are escaping the jar of fairy dust, or whatever you want to call it here. Very happy, very fun. I have mentioned in videos before, I say this, I've said it, and I guess I'll say it again today, I'm not much of a purple person, but I tend to really like coloring with purples and creating these cards. So maybe I am a purple person. I tend to not gravitate that way, but every once in a while I get on a real purple kick, and I love the purples in the Zigs markers. I don't always love the purples and other markers that I have, but in the Zigs, they have awesome purples. Really, really pretty purples. And that might be why I am kind of becoming a purple person as far as that goes, just because their purples are so super pretty. And look at those purple seed beads and sequins and things. I love those. I love the blueprint sketch and shaded lilac inks for the background. So lots and lots of purples. If you are a purple person, I hope you are enjoying this project, or maybe are inspired to create something with similar colors. As I have been doing quite a bit lately, especially with my Mama Elephant projects, I've incorporated older product with newer. I know a lot of you love seeing older product that you might actually have already being used and reused and still loved. It's something that I am making an effort to do more often. A lot of my projects do focus on new product, but I always love to find ways to incorporate those things that we might already have and love as well. So in this case, my cloud stencils, they get lots of love from me. Those Grassy Trio borders, again, lots of love from me, and great sentiment stamp sets can be used so many times. This one has been used many, many times. It looks like it as well, but still stamps beautifully. So definitely trying to incorporate new and old with my project today. I am gluing my fairies down in place. Most of them are glued On top of the jar, I have that one little fairy with her wand hanging off the side, and I did put a little foam adhesive square underneath her. I'm finishing the fairy wings with Nuvo Crystal Drops and White Blizzard. Again, one of my very favorite products. It's going to give their wings a fantastic sparkly finish. We're going to go in with a black glaze pen and add detail to the eyes, something I always do as well because faces are so important, and I think that really draws your eyes into their adorable little faces. And then there's quite a bit of white space. I feel like we need a little scattering of confetti, don't you guys? I am going to go in with the Little Fairy Agenda Stars. These are fantastic little images, and I'm going to stamp a few groupings of stars. We're going to color those in with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I did not worry too much about blending. These are so teeny tiny. I might have with the blue and the English lavender, but otherwise I really just colored them in with a solid color. We're going to finish those with Nuvo Crystal Drops and White Blizzard so they're sparkly. We'll glue this whole panel to the front of a white top fold card base. And that's going to finish off this Little Fairy Agenda birthday card, birthday shaker card featuring new stamps and dies from Mama Elephant. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.